Okay, so let's get started. I see an immediate sort of problem for me with the design of the game in terms of being able to figure out where I am as I stop midway through things. And that has to do with this stack of ordering. Now, normally my ordering is going to be finding, my normal counterclockwise ordering or whatever. So I can just put a piece down. But because this is here, and these are going to be placed in different locations, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to slide them down. But with the initial place where they're all in one stack, that becomes kind of problematic because I need to kind of keep the stack together. I think what I'm going to do, although this is hard to remember, is I'll move down the ones that are in order because I probably won't be going away too many times during a given phase, I hope. We'll see. Okay, so black is going to be our first player, and we have to worry about the first thing that we're doing as well. Well, the first thing we do is we're going to receive income, and everybody, I guess, gets $9. That's easy enough, and I'm going to step away to hand that money out. And maybe think a little bit about the next step as well. The worry here is if I don't hire an employee, this may be a bad choice if you don't hire an employee. It'll cost me a lot of my money. It'll cost me a fair amount of money and information. Now, do I have enough of each? Yes, I do. Which means it'll be the major task that I take for the turn. It cuts into my cash for the next turn, but it gives me more time tokens in the future. On this, and I'm using the word turn incorrectly, there is no word turn in the next round. This particular round, I'll be having 4 little thingies. If I train someone, that drops me down to 2. Next time, I gain 3 more. It's a hard call, but I feel like if you don't make this, it's going to be tough to go forward. Especially, let's see what our options are here. An internship program, which gives us a bonus single work thing. We don't really have room for that. Human resources, which gives you, I think, a reduction of 2 and 2 on work. And a network admin, which gives you an income of information. In order to do those, though, they need space because I probably don't want to get rid of my initial floors. Another option would be to reduce the cost of my training, which would cost me 3 and 3, I believe, which would leave me with not enough information to hire someone new. So you can see things are really tight at the beginning. There may be a room that I'd like more. For example, I can get some information. I could improve that room so that it's better. My personal ability is to build cubes. Well, what am I going to do with cubes? I have to convert those with the factory, so I'm going to need, and this is the kind of balancing I have to make. So I'm going to need $2 and 2 information to convert one of my cubes. So that's going to be $4 and 4 information. So I have 5 and 3. I don't think I can afford a worker. That's the amount of thought that I had to go through with one player. But each player has their own special circumstances. So if we look at the next player, who's blue here, well, he's got one of these. So maybe he wants to run it through. But he doesn't necessarily want to crank as many through as other people, so maybe he's not as worried about it. His big bonus is he has tons of money and more information. I think to me that means I do want to train to get a new worker. I have the extra capital for it. Do I have enough for this as well, though? That's the question. So scheduling business, and this is an unknown if I do this. This is pay money to get your first choice to buy a tenant improvement. This is cheaper, but I don't know what it's going to cost in the long run. It probably averages out. So if I can get $4 and 4 info, and I clearly have that, I'll be able to place in here. And you know, like when I walk away, I'm going to remember what all this strategy is. Okay, so $4 and 4 info, and this is 5 and 5. That gets me to 9 and 9, and I don't have that. I think grabbing the first room is more important to me. And possibly, this is actually going to cost me 8 and 8. I don't know if getting an empty floor is that worthwhile at this point. I have this extra cash. Yeah, I'm gonna buy a worker. So that cost me 5 and 5. We put these over here. Grab one of these to indicate we're there. This goes up. This gets pushed over here. Okay, our next player is yellow over here. His specialty is meeting rooms, which means he can grab information more easily. Well, we see a certain tightness to the game at this point where getting another laborer really doesn't seem like it's necessarily the best move across the board. There's other stuff. There's so much other stuff to do. I'm gonna look for a die. I have so many dice around, but it's hard to find them when I'm video. All right. I'm making it an unlikely choice, a 1 and 6 for these people with less money. And this is what I'm resorting to because trying to figure out the whole turn in advance. Advertising. Is it time for my popularity to go up? Well, obviously, I get a bonus by having that. A nice bonus. I also get a bonus if I'm selling. And putting one into networking doesn't cost me much. Of course, if I put 3 into networking, I get 2 popularity, and that's better. I don't know. Okay, green. I'm just seeing if there's any research and testing, lots of information. Am I feeling like I really need a bunch of information at this point? Information's nice. At the warehouse level, information is worth more than anywhere else. Maybe some of the upgrades it's worth more. But I don't terribly want that. So I think this guy may just go for worker 2, although he's kind of behind the ball. But this just, I don't see this as a terribly valuable choice. Oh wait, I can get money and information. Oh, that's different. That's different. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. Just getting information isn't that terribly valuable at this point. Okay. So, I don't think he wants a trainee, does he? Yeah, he still has enough he might want it. And finally, Purple, who has an extra work already. Huh. Well, I don't know what I want to do with an extra worker, but at this point, I'm going to have to... Yeah, I might want more, even more than I have. I do not. Okay, so we've gone through that first hire employees step, and now we're at the schedule business, and this is where things get really hard. Let me explain why. And I've played games that are a fair number of games that are like this. Russian Railroads comes to mind, where you're going to have several opportunities to put your pieces on the board and kind of claim locations there. And the problem with it is, in some cases, it's pretty easy. You can look and say, oh yeah, this... and by the way, Dominant Species kind of has it too. You look at it and you say, okay, this is just the best thing. And you can play it kind of opportunistically. But the real problem is that you probably won't do very well doing that. You probably need a stronger plan as to where you're going to dump all of your resources, how much you're going to pay. So for example, if I'm going to be doing this factory job here, I need to know I'm going to be paying, 2 of each of those. So I have to have that money set aside for my factory. Then I have to have a time chit set aside for this as well. And you just have to have all these things balanced in your head. That's tough for me, even in an opposed setting. And now playing it solo, it's essentially impossible. So I can't really capture, I can't get the proper experience of the game, but I don't like that experience. I don't like having to make a strategic choice as to, what I'm going to do over the course of the turn and figure everything all out, and then not set it all in motion at once. Right? And this is just a personal taste thing, but it particularly doesn't translate well when I do this solo, which, So I'm unlikely to have a very good time with this because of that kind of worker placement type aspect. It just really doesn't set well with me. Okay. That's not to say that every type of worker placement bothers me. So for example, I'm looking for it. After the Holocaust up there is kind of a worker placement game in the sense that you have workers to assign, but you actually really do, as you're scheduling things in your mind, you actually just do it. Here the problem is that there's this turn order imposed within what really amounts to the decision-making process for me. And it rewards people who can, figure out everything they're going to do and remember it to the next step. If I have to do everything all at once, I figure it all out. If I have to make one choice at a time, I figure it all out again and again and again. And I keep having doubts and reassessing the position, which is to say, even in an opposed game, I'll be sitting there and I'll have made a choice, and then maybe I regret my choice and try to think how to work around it or whatever. And it's just very, very painful and very, very bad for me. Whereas if I scheduled everything at once, like I do in a Stellar Conquest, a Europa Universalis, and after the Holocaust, and, basically make my plan all in one action, then I still have a regret afterwards. I screwed that up. But it's not coming to me every single time. I don't have to keep making decisions based on a bad decision I made earlier. It's gone and it's away. I made that it was all one big decision. And Black's up first with scheduling business. Well, what do? Well, they think they want to assemble, which is going to cost them 2 of these. Which means right now I can do a factory action. Grabbing the first one gives me the first option to sell stuff. That seems like a good idea. I'm going to need a cube, $2, and 2 information to take care of this. And I just put these away. Let's see, I get an information and $1 back. And I would like to do that again after I do the assembly. I'm just going to try to get the most stuff to market. That'll get me more cash. It doesn't get me more information, but you know, it's not absolutely clear to me what I should be doing. I certainly should be getting a more balanced collection of material, but I may not use the second disc to produce factory goods. I may put that somewhere else. Okay, so now we go to blue, and blue gets to... Well, blue has all the cash, they have the worker. I definitely want to train, so there's 2 of my worker discs, but I don't want to do that first. Nobody can touch my board. If I clear this away, it doesn't give me more discs right now. I don't believe. If it does, everybody made a mistake who didn't do this. Yeah, the round after the employee is trained. Okay. So, that means I have 2 more activities I can put into play. Now, I was planning on going into construction here. Do I want to take a risk with the architect's office? I don't know, because I don't know what the cards are like. But what I can do is I can look at what other stable cards are like. You wouldn't want to do this, you know, if you have played before. But with 6 players, there's a lot of consumers out there possible. So I think that architect's office is less, it looks like it's a more expensive option. I don't know if anybody else is going to be building. So this is going to cost me 4 and 4 and 4 and 4 to add another floor. Ooh, that's a lot. And on the other hand, if I spend 3 money and 3 of these information, I'm spending more than I gained to get one of these. So that doesn't seem like a terribly good idea. So, don't particularly want to spend money on consulting to get lots of information. That looks more like where he's going to be going eventually, because he's collecting cash but not information, maybe. So, and I could do this way. And now I'm on this guy, and then I just keep flipping them over, and then I flip the whole stack, kind of a la 18XX. But if those were counters that were discernible on the backside, I would definitely do that. But with these little hexes, I don't know if I trust that, or trust myself with that. So what do I want to do with 2 more activities? I'm not really terribly good at anything. I don't want to grab any of these simply because I don't have that extra floor. Is that extra floor a worthwhile thing? So I was saying 8 and 8. I don't have that kind of money because I got the worker. So if I do a research and testing, that'll get me some information. However, I only have 2 of these discs, and I only have 1 of these, so I can't do both. I can't do research and testing and a factory action because I don't have enough cubes for that, and I don't have enough actions to buy, something from the warehouse or to produce something, which is cheaper than assembling. Assembling I can't even do. I could just get some information out of the meeting room. Oh, I think I'm gonna produce something, and that'll be $2 and 2 information. And you can see I'm losing information by producing. So I better get a lot of bucks for it, right? I can probably do that. The danger, of course, is whoever puts up here gets the last buy, but if not many people have put in here, the first person's gonna go in there, figuring the market will probably give them cash. Now, I don't know if I explained this in the rules. If you don't sell through the round, you drop down to the next tier of prices for the next round. So your disc stays out there, and it doesn't count against your labor. It's just part of your pool of discs here. You'll replenish your labor anyway. Okay, that puts us to yellow. Yellow's next. What is yellow gonna do? Well, I'm good at producing information. I have, of course, $9. I could build an empty floor. Ooh. Okay, so I should take advantage of my ability to produce information. That's going to be 2 of my dudes. I'm not terribly good at producing money, and this is the way to make money, right? By the way, liquidation only gets you $1, so and you lose the information. Okay, so I too am going to do the $2 to information transfer here. And put my disk over into the factory. Puts me to red. Red has to make a decision. Red's ability is advertising. Oh boy. Well, if I'm the most popular, I get a bonus. Two discs gets me a print advertising, which would probably be a mistake. Or 2 discs. Because it looks like I'm likely to be ahead in the networking anyway. But that's something I want to hold off on, so let's put 1 there. What else am I interested in? I could throw some big bucks into consulting, hoping to get a whole bunch of information later. That would cost me $6. I actually have enough to go into the factory and the consulting. That might be a good way to bank a bunch of points later. Oh, I don't know. I think I'm going to do the production just like everyone else is. I get $1 back. And I really don't have room on my table to have that tray where it's easily accessible. I do right now, but as these buildings grow, it's going to be harder. Now maybe I could squeeze it in here. I don't know. We'll see. But that's being kind of a problem. The game does take up a big amount of space. Green. Green likes to do research and testing. So that would be my cube. Cubes are cheap. Compared to using my workers to assemble, I may want to be able to buy one. Now I don't have room for an extra cube right now. I'd have to do that. But that would be one. What could I do with two dudes? Alright, I think I'm going to actually do my research and testing right off the bat. And I could put this here or not, it doesn't really make much difference. So I'm just going to discard it, and I get $2 and 2 information. And I can actually just do that as many times as I have product. That seems like a pretty cool ability to me. Okay, and over to purple. I can't really, say, oh, I think it's unbalanced at this point. But it seems like an easy to use one. Now this guy has an extra laborer. That's his big bonus. So what am I going to do? Oh, what's this? This gives you the approximate, I guess, number of consumers that there are in each of the different player groups. So in stable with 6 or more players, we're looking at between 4 and 6. So that's a pretty big chunk. What does purple want to do? See, our research and testing isn't as good, and that's kind of a problem. We could, without labor, buy that ability. I'm pretty impressed with that ability. What am I going to do with all my laborers? That's the question. Because everything costs, except for the stuff on here. The assembly is kind of cool too, because I can build things for less. I definitely think I want to buy an upgrade to my room. The factory over here, I mean, I'm getting in pretty late if I do that, but somebody might double dip in there, and then I kind of end up behind. So I think I do want to do factory good. So I'll put that here. I take my cube, take 2 of these, and I get $1 back. And get myself in there as well. And that's the first time around. And here's where it gets tough. If you're... I'm used to trying to find natural pausing points. I need to go do things, and now I feel like I have to keep going through my entire scheduling segment here, and that, or else I'm going to lose track of what I'm doing. Now I just have to go and do things. That's just how it is. So, but even in an opposed game, I would lose my focus because somebody's thinking. So I turn and start talking to someone else, and then I don't remember, what everything was. I probably should bring a little notepad with me when I'm playing opposed to write things down. And that might actually help here, except that there's no way I can do it on video writing with my left hand, and I have enough trouble holding the camera steady in my right hand. Also, I'm very lazy. So we're just going to play this as we can, you know, and probably make some bad choices. At this point in the game, there aren't that many discs, but clearly you can see the number of discs is going to go up. And people are going to be having to make a lot of these options. So what was I holding these two for? I don't remember. Probably my assembly. Okay. Is there something else I really want to do? You know, I could throw into advertising and pay big and maybe get a couple popularity off broadcasting. $2, two things. That would give me the edge over here plus a bonus here. But if I do that, I'm no longer able to sell two goods. That's kind of the problem here. So what do we do? Well, we want to assemble. And we get our cube. And we gotta move this. This is not working. Blue has two set aside to do something. Damned if I know what that was. Ah, training. So I have one more disc I can use. And not a whole hell of a lot of options. First of all, if there's one disc, I can just get an information or a networking off of it. We don't necessarily want to commit to that networking right now. And the information we get for free, you know, it's not going to affect anyone else. I don't see, unless we wanted to go into the consulting, and we don't have enough cash for that, I don't see anything we're willing to do. So I'm going to actually do my training. And again, you don't have to leave these here. And get rid of this. Puts me on yellow. I have two discs set aside to do something. I'm not sure what. I guess to grab the 3 information, that's my big bonus. So what would I want to do with my other disc? I could buy some cheap warehouse goods. That doesn't sound like a bad choice. I can spend an information or $2. I think an information, this is where information is most valuable, is you can just go and say, hey, I have some secret information, give me stuff. I guess you're spying. Honestly, the topical connection is very weak. Over here, we have that advertising. Do we want to do that? We don't know yet. We have a single disc. Well, I think it's time to do some consulting. And that cost me $6. I get nothing this turn, but next turn I'm pretty much guaranteed 10 of that. If nobody else does it, I'll buy this space. You know, that space looks absolutely ironclad. Any space beyond that, though, is a little risky. But of course, if Red's over here, the next person can say, well, if Red's willing to support their 10, I'm willing to pay even less money every turn to keep mine. So that's appealing. Of course, anybody who goes in here and ends up in this space, if Red's over here, then they don't want to pay the Red thing forward. They definitely don't want to do that because somebody might not support their space. They need, unless they're willing to do 2 consultings, right? So that might be not unreasonable either, except how much information do you need? We want information. Okay. This guy likes to do research and testing. He already did some. He would like to do more. Research and testing gets me information at good odds. I'm not selling any product though. So, if I just cycle through this, I can go build a product here with, say, two information or $3, but I probably want to use the information. And then use that product to get 4 information. But I'm kind of just churning at a very slow rate there, if that's the case. So, what do I want to do? Do I want to grab another cube? This seemed like a great idea earlier. Or do I want to build a better assembly factory? Because I'm having... the question is, do I need to be producing my own goods? Or do I want something else? And also then there's how much money do I have? I have enough stuff to buy that empty floor. 6, 8. But not enough to grab a tenant improvement on top of that. But maybe I want... Empty floors are a very limited resource. Maybe I want an empty floor. It doesn't sound like a bad choice to me for some reason. So, we'll spend $4 and 4 research to schedule our position there and start building. That puts me to purple. Purple sold, they're good. Their big deal is they have extra workers. Well, extra workers on their own isn't that great a thing. $3. And 3 of these. And I'm going to build an assembly. And that just got me 2 prestige. Yay! Now I'm tied with everyone else. That doesn't use up any of my effort. The interesting thing, when you upgrade the storage closet, you get like some stuff in there, like whatever materials are left over and thrown in the trash. I guess you store those. And that's another time around. It's time for me to swap batteries, and I'll be back. As you can see, though, you have to keep making decisions. You can't just make one big decision, and that is somewhat inimical to my style. Alright, black's got only 1 action left. What do we need? We're going to be getting a horde of money. So kind of our decision, maybe not a horde, but we've got first pick at this. We could probably safely go into the 12 space. The 16 space may be a little too much, but still, $12 is a lot of cash. So we need research. And I see 2 ways for us to get research. One is we can just grab 3 of it with the research and exploitation. No. If we're going to do that, I think what we want to do at this moment is not spend one of our things, but improve the building. We have the money to do this, so, oops, we might as well. And then we'll come back around. The other option is to go to the consulting firm and get a horde of it. not next turn, but or not this turn, but the turn after. And that won't get resolved in time for us to use it next turn. So we probably want to generate some now. So we're going to go with this. Over on blue, 1 chip left. Hey, we're getting close to the end of this segment. All right, what do we want to do with our 1 chip? Well, we have no product. What are we going to get? We're going to get some money. We're not going to get any research. Hey, are we in the same position? Yeah, except we can't upgrade our room. Which might mean that we want to convert money into research via the consulting firm. Doesn't sound like a terrible idea. Of course, that may put us in the position where we have to, like I'm saying with red, we have to continue consulting. It's sort of like a drug addiction. If nobody else steps in and takes up your addiction, you may have a problem. Okay, so blue's actually done, basically. That puts us on yellow. Yellow has 2 left. And we have the meeting room. We could grab some information. We're getting cash already. We could put more product in play. Are we going to get... Do we really want more cash? That's kind of the question here. Is that our biggest concern, or is there a room upgrade we want to do? Well, we have this 2 for 3 meeting room bonus. We're the only person with it. I'm not particularly thrilled with it, but if you don't use your advantage, you don't get to test out whether or not it is indeed at all worthwhile. All right, over here, red. Hey, we have an advertising advantage. So we could either dump 2 pieces into print or 1 piece into networking. Now, either way, we get just 1 piece. There's no real big advantage to going into print, but the danger with networking is somebody could actually advertise. Of course, we could actually advertise as well. We have enough money and research that we could dump an extra couple pieces into networking, so we could get the boost there. Again, we want to use our advantage if we have it. But do we have something else we might want to do with 1? I don't think so. We don't have a lot of capital available. Do we just want to dump this into print? Into advertising, into networking? That would allow us to keep a token, which we could then use to grab some information or something, depending on how things worked. We have to do something. So yeah, I'm just going to dump this piece into networking using the marketing room. I could have used 2 of them to dump 1 into print. I don't see much advantage to that. Right now we're going to get a point in the popularity, and hey, that puts us in the lead, so we get a bonus, and we sell our goods better than anyone else, so we can definitely go for the 12 space if it's open, which it may not be, because we're kind of late in the order there. Okay. So that cuts us to green. Green has 2. We would perhaps like to do more research and testing. See, I had my gripe about that though, the grinding element, plus we need cash here. So we need more than we have. Oh crap, we have a problem. I wanted to buy the room, and I thought I set aside for that. I don't know what I did afterwards. But I need money and research and I don't have it. I got a potential problem here. Now, of course, I could replace one of these rooms with something that's better, which might be appealing as well. Okay, well, let's try doing research. So it's $3 or 2 of these. We have more money available slightly, so we'll spend $3 to get ourselves another warehouse element. I'm not thrilled with what's going on here, but I think I screwed up with them. Okay, now down to purple. We have a lot of actions, 4 of them actually. I'm going to move this here just so that I can see better. I'm good at assembling. What I do with stuff once I assemble it. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of information. I have enough to sell more goods. Okay, so we're going to assemble another good. That's our action. Go back around to black. Black says, I got 1 left. I wanted to research and test. I think. Who knows? But I want to just take research. I just want to take information here, because I'm expecting to have plenty of money. Okay. And we're actually done unless we want to buy an upgraded room, which doesn't make a lot of sense. We can do that next turn. It's not like we're going to lose money. Okay, blue. Blue has nothing. They are done. Yellow. Yellow has nothing left that they can really do except buy a room. And again, that's not something you want to do at this moment. You can do it on your next turn. The only reason you'd want to do it on this moment is if you really needed to get a jump, like if you wanted your assembly to be better at the beginning of next turn or something. But I don't see that as being an issue here. We're winning the advertising war. We've got to do something. What do we want to do with a pip? We could grab more popularity by being top in another advertising segment. We'd have to actually pay, but that wouldn't be too terrible. But on the other hand, goods are getting expensive. I don't want to buy a good. I don't have anything else I can do here. I don't really have a lot of capital. Trying to think what might be worth doing. I could just grab some information. That doesn't really help me. I think I'm not really tickled by this. But I think I'm going to take more advertising. That secures my position there. Nobody's going to go in on that expecting to win. They'll be going in for second place at best. Over here, green, we probably wanted to, we don't have any product for sale. And we're not getting a lot of cash. We can convert with research fairly easily. Do we want to compete on this at a kind of crappy product value? Can we afford to? We can't. We need to raise cash. So we've got 5 and 4. We're not going to be able to build that room that we want, or the building that we want. So we're just going to be getting a room off of this, which is kind of crappy. Because we need... Oh no, we only need 4 and 4. Oh, we're fine. As long as we don't spend more money. Okay. We don't have a way to get cash, so I'm going to convert this to 2 and 2. Do some garbage collection later. and just start piling up some resources. Because this is going to get us something that doesn't terribly help us right away, the big empty floor that we can fill up. But it is worth 2 points, and plus we can start filling it with these without losing any of our options on the ground floor. Who's next? Next is purple. Does not have the kind of capital to hire into this. So, what are we doing? We're getting cash. We would like to maybe get research. There's not much we can build. We could grab whichever advertising the other person doesn't take. That would give us a marketing bonus over here. I think that sounds worthwhile. That leaves us with only one chip left, but we could still do research and testing with that chip. So let's spend one of each and drop this for that, let's be second in advertising. All right, that brings us back around to black. Black has nothing to do. Blue has nothing to do. Yellow has nothing to do. Without discs, sure, there's things you can do, but it becomes less valuable. Red has nothing they can do. I'm just making that decision green. That brings us back to purple, who has 1. I wanted to do a research and testing. I'm going to get money, so I will take... Or do I want to produce more? Production can't do. I don't have enough information. Okay, so I'm going to grab myself 3 of this because I expect to get some cash. Not just from here, but also from here. And I believe everybody's done. Which puts us to the conduct business segment, where we'll start taking care of each of these in order. This is essentially, the city business section is essentially a mechanical operation. There are some decisions you get to make in it, but for the most part, it's just going to be handling what's already been done. So we should be able to move through this pretty quickly. The first thing that happens is if anything was here, they would generate their payouts if they meet their conditions of somebody continuing to pay the company to exist. But instead, these just move forward. And these guys have sort of a monetary burden where they're going to have to buy more consulting. Now, I find this kind of weird, although I guess I can understand the why. But the first one costs more than later ones. And the price, well, the price sort of shifts around in a weird sort of way. And what that's exactly meant to reflect, I'm not sure. Maybe they're more for play balance reasons than for some sort of reality-based thing. But I guess what it kind of says is, hey, initially, when you're paying for consulting, there may not be very much available. So you can kind of do some hand-waving about the higher prices to begin with. And then you hit sort of a sweet spot where a lot of consulting is available, maybe more than the market can bear. But then as you're dredging more and more, you're starting to overwork them and, the price goes up again. I don't know, whatever. Okay, to the advertising. So here, the player with the last time marker in numerical order will decide first which type of marketing they wish to do. So the advantage goes to this guy to see where this one's going. Now, he can go anywhere. If he goes in here, he might not win. But he might. Who knows? Because red could toss in there, but then red's paying 2 pieces for 1. On the other hand, I get a bonus probably if I go into either one of these. Broadcast is the best of them. However, I have to pay the most for this. If I go in here, I get 2 chips, which means I get 1 for that. So this is interesting. So if I go into networking, I get it for free. I get 2 chips into networking. If I go into print, I have to pay 1 and 1, and I only get 1 chit. In broadcast, I have to pay 2 and 2, and I only get 1 chit. I get the most popularity guaranteed off broadcast because, well, it's not absolutely guaranteed, but I'll get a chip for being the most in broadcast, and I'll get a popularity for a chip. So I think that's the one I want to go for, even though it's the most expensive, because if what I did was of any value, I want it to be the most value. And this puts Red in a position where, okay, I could challenge him and pay money to weaken what he's getting. Or I could throw it in here for 2, a buck and an info, and I would only get 1 here, but I would get a popularity for it for being the biggest in that popularity section. On the other hand, I don't have to pay anything, and I can throw it in here, and I'll get an extra popularity because now I have 3 in there. So that works too. Okay, now I believe we resolve these. And Red is the most in networking, and I have 3 networking, so these go away. And Purple is the most in broadcasting, and I have 3 broadcasting. And these move together in the order that they were. So Purple stays below Red in the absolute ordering of popularity. No one else did any popularity increases. Now, marketing bonuses. Each player except the least popular chooses a marketing bonus. Well, so this is the question. Who's the least popular? Is it everybody who didn't get any popularity over there? Or is it just not green? Is green the only one who doesn't go forward? And I think it may be the latter. I think everybody but green gets a bonus here. And that would have been, well, that's why purple wanted to go into advertising, right? Because they avoided that. Yeah, I'm making things up here. I have to look this up to make certain that that's how it is, that there is no tie for no, there is no tie. I know this. Okay, so the most popular is Red. What does he want? He could get a remodel for 1 and 1. If I want to upgrade something, that's a pretty good price. He could get a supply, which costs a decent amount right now. So the remodeling saves me 2 and 2. The supply would probably save me less. So that doesn't look as much. These are each $2 or 2 info. And then the final is a temporary disk, a work order. I think my best is the remodel. Now, do I take this immediately? That's my question. Bonus is awarded immediately. The time marker for the next round, you'd have to put that somewhere to remind yourself that you're getting that as a bonus. Okay, so our next is purple. What does purple want? Oh, I get my remodel. Okay. Oh, I don't have a buck. I can't take the remodel. Wow, that sucks. A supply is worth $3 or some action. I'm going to take the supply then. That looks worth getting right now, because this is going to be that. Okay. So purple wants the remodel if they can take it. Why not? Although maybe they don't want the remodel, right? So maybe cash or something else is more valuable. But I don't have the effort to be able to think about that. And which remodel do I want? With the assembly, I'm going to take the research and testing. I think I've got a nice little pipeline there to make myself some extra cash quickly. seems like a good idea. Okay. Next up is black. What does black want? Black is short on information. They don't have an easy source of information, do they? Well, they do. A temp worker might be nice, but I don't think it's as good. I'm going to grab myself 2 quick information. That puts it to blue. And we don't have many choices here, money or temp worker. I think the money's more valuable. It's hard to tell. I'm just like a temp worker, what's he going to do for me? He could get me an information or the networking. And that puts us on finally yellow, who gets the temp worker. And we'll put that over here as to try to remind ourselves he has a bonus. Okay. Now we go to the factory. And I'm going to pause for a little moment here. I got to deal with something. So black has the first option here. Now I don't know how many there are in here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 works product for sale. There could be as few as 4 in the stable. That's what we have here. It says there could be as few as 4 available. If there's 5 or 6, I want to be in the 16 space, though. On a 1, I'm not willing to take the chance. Yeah. All right, I'm going to grab the good space and try to sell my stuff as the highest value product. This is where popularity doesn't really matter, because there's going to be at least 4, and everybody can jump in. So now it's just ordering that matters. So blue is going to go into the next, yellow, red, and purple. They can't go up here. Now we resolve the economic forecast. And the first thing we look at is there's only 4 consumers. Uh-oh. And that would affect this. So this is 2, 2, and 4, 4. So it would still be more expensive than the construction company would be. And since there was no real demand or race for this, that works out. Okay. So now we have 4 consumers. Well, these sell off in popularity order. So theoretically, red would go first, and they get $10 for theirs. Nice work if you can do it. Purple's next. They get $10 for theirs. Of course, money, you know, 9 more bucks is coming into almost everybody's hands. Our next one, the order doesn't really matter. $12 for blue. And $12 for yellow. And that's 4 consumers. Black made a bad choice by not just taking the guaranteed, which means they drop down. We could put it in the 12 or the 10. We see a depression coming up. That might mean we want to lower, well, no, it doesn't help us to be on the lower level there. The choice is between the tiers. So you always want to take the highest within a given tier. Okay. But we didn't get any cash. What I forgot to do is the unemployment. This goes down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So new jobs are easier to get. And now this moves into place on top. And now we see there's going to be a boom, which is probably going to be tight unemployment, and I would guess a lot of consumer activity. So, okay. The architect's office doesn't have to be resolved. We go to the construction agency, and that's green. It's going to cost him 4 and 4 to do what he wanted. which doesn't give him any bonus other than some victory points, except that there's only 2 of these. And he's just grabbed 1. And I'll tell you this much, I don't like seeing resources eaten up that I can never get again. So this is not too unreasonable from my point of view. It's got space for 2 enhancements, which I can put these guys in. And there's more of these later on. So that's kind of cool. We did the economic forecast already, and we are done with the round, are we not? Not quite. We have this cleanup phase. All players take any time markers on their player board and remove them. Well, I've been doing that as I play instead of piling them up in the rooms. Everybody's allowed to downsize, drop employees. Hey, that doesn't make much sense at this point. That sounds useful. Now we replenish time markers according to the employee track. So 4 here. Purple gets 1 here along with his 4. Green gets 4. Blue gets his 4 and 3 additional. Now he's giving up $3 for those extra work factors, but they're definitely worth it. Over here, just 4 for red. Yellow gets his 4, but he's got another one kicking around back here that he got off his marketing bonus. Add a supply cube. Move all players' markers on the marketing bonus back to the no bonus space. It didn't do much there. Add a supply to the most expensive one of these. All player markers on the popularity track are moved a space to the left, but not the bottom. Update the job marker by moving the status to the left for the unemployed. I did that already. Move the top card, I did that. Move the round status marker a space to the right. Okay, I think I missed something where these should be cleared out and this should be cleared out. Maybe these, no. Let me make sure that a warehouse I was able to take. You know, maybe I wasn't able to take something immediately during warehouse, which means I cheated. And there's not much I can do about that at this point. Let's see, just where... Yeah. So these should not have been taken during the scheduling phase. They get taken during the business phase. And I kind of cheated there because you can see green, yellow has one, but green used theirs, which is cheating. C'est la vie, right? What it doesn't say is to remove these suckers. I don't believe so. Yeah, it does not say to remove these. And the other thing that might be removed is the construction company, which doesn't say to remove it. And then it's not said in the cleanup phase, but you would remove these. These don't make sense kicking around on there. What you don't remove is these and these, because they have an effect on the next turn. And I don't see instructions to remove these chips, but I think in general, as you resolve something, it should move somewhere when it takes effect. So there may be a general rule on that I'm not seeing. And we're ready to hit the second turn of this, which means if I can find the die, I'll put it up here and I'll load this one up.